Good afternoon and welcome. You're watching or listening to Our Frugal Debt Free Journey podcast. You may know us from the YouTube channel Long Run with Joel and Christy. And we want to thank you all today for joining us as we discuss whether or not you need a college degree. And so we're going to take turns sharing our experiences with college and our career paths. So I guess I'll go ahead and start first.
Sure.
When I got out of high school, I really wanted to be an electrical engineer. And so I went the first 2 years of college doing that, took all the prerequisite courses, and I went to school debt free the first 2 years. Didn't have any debt incurred. I went mainly on Pell Grants and scholarships the first couple of years, and so I didn't have to pay anything those first couple of years. Also, I did go to a community college that was close to home, so I commuted back and forth. So I didn't have room and board to have to pay either. After that, I got my associate's degree there, and then I went on to senior college, but I really felt like God was calling me to preach, calling me to ministry, and so I left senior college where I was at, and then a couple of years later, I started going to seminary in New Orleans, and those 2 years, I finished up my bachelor's degree down there. Those 2 years were paid for. I didn't know this at the time, but those 2 years were paid for by my church. The tuition was paid for by my church. They gifted me with the money to pay for the tuition, and so we got out with a bachelor's degree with no debt and ready to start our career.
Was that we had other debt, just
Yeah,
not
just not student loan debt.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so
Bear with us. We are doing a water challenge.
yeah, we're doing
right
a
now.
water challenge.
So you may hear us sipping.
Yeah. So after I got my bachelor's degree, we got out and I actually got a job because I had a bachelor's degree, and we started pastoring small churches around in Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, those places like that. And then I really felt like a friend of mine just told me, said, look, if you're looking for anything bigger than what you've got, then you're going to need to go back to school and finish your education, get a master's degree, at least a master's degree. And so I did that, went back to a few years later, went back to New Orleans to finish up a master's degree. We lived on campus, and Chrissy had a job there. I had a job on campus, and I still got scholarships and things for that. And so we didn't incur any student debt after that as well. And so that did open a few more doors for us as far as that goes. But there's been situations where I've needed a degree to get a job, and there's been situations where I didn't need a degree to get a job. And so it just really depends on your situation, on the job that you're looking for. I had a team member ask me the other day. He said, "Do I need to go to college to get a job?" And I said, my answer was, "Well, I can't answer that for you. However, I will say that college isn't for everyone. There are trade schools out there that you can go and learn a trade that you can make really good money at. And if that's something that you're interested in, I would encourage you to look into that because just because you have a 4-year degree doesn't guarantee you a job in any field whatsoever. So look at your options. Obviously, look at your options and then decide what's best for you, what's best for your life, and what you feel like that you want to do as far as your career goes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So as far as me, let's see. I went to college for 2 years and did not get a degree because instead I decided to drop out of college and move to New Orleans with Joel.
Yep.
When we got married and he went to seminary. So I did not finish a degree. I don't even have an associate's degree. So the question is whether or not I was able to have jobs and stuff because I didn't get the degree. So let's see. Uh, I did I didn't really work for a while there because we had children and stuff. So then when our youngest was a few years old, I was able to start working as an assistant teacher. And that gave me that ability to have their same school hours. But I mean, obviously, I didn't, you have to have a degree to be a teacher,
Mhm.
but you can be an assistant teacher. But I will say that the fact that some of the people that I was able to use as references was church members who were also school teachers. That really helped me secure even that job because I had not worked in quite a while. Then for a while, I did substitute teaching. Um, let's see. Then let's see. I think that the next I jumped away from being in that education field, and we were both doing like temp work at the time. He was in
Yeah.
between churches, and so he was doing temp work, and I was doing temp work with a different company. He got hired on full time with a cell phone carrier as a customer service rep, and he actually told them that he thought that I would be good for that, and so just because he had made a good impression at that temp job and had been added on permanently, I was also brought in. So it was because he said something. Maybe I would have gotten on with him. I don't know. But the point is that customer service rep job actually went on for probably maybe a year and a half or so. And then I left and started working in a company as in a small loan company with my sister. So obviously, knowing your sister helped get me hired. But that gave me. I was promoted within that company by the management to be in charge of one of the branches after I worked there for a little while, and so I got experience as an office manager. So then when he mentioned going back to seminary later and that job that I had. Okay, so when we first found out we were going to go move back to seminary, I applied for some of the jobs, and I was actually told at some of the jobs that they were hiring people that had college degrees. So and they even said we're hiring a person who doesn't have the experience you have, but she has a college degree. So you have to be prepared for hearing that as an answer sometimes if you don't have a college degree, because some people are still that are in the hiring, in the HR departments and stuff like that, they're still looking for the college degree and they'll turn you down.
Yep.
So you have to be prepared for that if you go this route that I went. But Joel happened to be in an office one day talking to them, and they asked what I was going to do when we moved, and he told them what I had been doing as far as jobs, but that we had not found one yet for me. And so he says, we're going to have a position coming up in the office that I work, send her resume to blah, blah, blah. And we'll see what we can do. And because he knew the professor, so again, it was word of mouth and I was hired. I worked there the whole time he was in seminary. And then when we finished, when he took the next church that we were at, again, the pastor there said, what is your wife going to be doing when you move? Is she going to be working? And he said, she wants to. Do you know of anything? And he's like, yes, I know the director of missions, and they're going to be looking for a ministry assistant or financial secretary. So, I'll put in a good word for you. And I did, and I worked there for 8 years. By the way, as a financial secretary, which I did not have a degree in, but I had an accountant that I was able to ask questions. And so I was able to actually be successful for 8 years in that organization because it was word of mouth. It was, knowing someone. So I, since then I've been doing YouTube. So obviously that doesn't require knowing anyone, though it does help if you know people because you can collab with them. But it doesn't. You don't have to know anyone to get hired. So we want to summarize what we're saying here. We're not saying that you can't have a nice career without a degree.
Yep.
However, what we are saying is that it might be challenging. There's some obstacles that you will have to overcome if you go the route of not having a degree. And that is basically your resume might be turned down on the spot just because you don't have the degree listed. And second is very important, extremely important that you get to know people. Now there's usually in everywhere we've lived, there's been like organizations that get together, and it's a great place to network. So, and especially in certain fields. So you might need to, even if you're an introvert, it might become necessary for you to get out there and meet some people and get to know people. If you go to church, that might be a great way because a lot of times you're networking with people that might actually work in the industry that you're hoping to break into. Again, like he said, for him, there were times when he was turned down for like church ministry positions because they wanted him not to have just a bachelor's degree, but also a master's degree or a doctoral degree because the size of the church expected that. There has also been times when I was turned down, like I mentioned, but again, there were other times when it was just because I knew somebody or I had just met somebody who was working in that industry who was like, oh, I can help you out with that. And so you have to be willing to step out of your comfort zone especially if you don't go with the degree, because the resume might be ignored otherwise. So it's not to say that you can't do it. It's just to say you have to figure it out and figure out like how much you want to deal with that, because sometimes those degrees can be really expensive and you end up not getting paid a lot for the actual degree. And we get that. I will say our son has, he hadn't quite got the bachelor's degree, but he has a certificate and everything in the program and software programming, and he still has been struggling just to get past the resume stage because almost all of them say that they want you to have a degree, and even someone will say doesn't matter what the degree is in, they just want the degree by his name. So it's challenging. Should he be able to get one at some point? Yes, probably so. But it's not easy, and you have to be prepared for those turndowns. And we're not telling you to do either one. We're just saying be sure that you realize that if you choose the no degree option, you're probably going to have to step out of your comfort zone and network.
Yep. So thanks for joining us today. You've been listening to the Our Debt Free Journey podcast. We hope that you'll come back again next month on the first Thursday when we share our next podcast video. Be sure to subscribe to our channel for more frugal content. If you're watching on YouTube, let us know how you feel about the necessity of a college degree. Put those comments down there for us. In the comments section, were you able to find a job without one? Just share us your tips and things that you've experienced over the years. Until next time, this is Julian Christie saying, don't forget it's a long run. Give yourself a little grace.
Bye.